As Ramaphosa comes back to Lesotho, the Independent Electoral Commission has met conditions of the agreement. Voter registration has begun, 1,300 centers have been opened nationwide, and more than 3,000 temporary staff have been hired for the registration process.
Those who have registered should go and check whether their names are written properly and they appear to the centers where they have applied for. And they make sure that those who are no longer living in such areas are identified.
Ramaphosa also brokered the Maseru Security Accord.
Lesotho is now enjoying a good measure of stability and peace as the nation prepares itself to go to elections. And one of the objectives that we have as SADC, having set up a mission in Maseru, is to help with the depoliticization of the Lesotho Defense Force, as well as the Lesotho Mounted Police, and to work with all the role players in that country to ensure that we have a peaceful election in February. His Majesty the King is still to pronounce a date for these elections, and we're hoping that once that date is announced, Parliament will be dissolved, and the various political parties will then go to the hustings and campaign amongst Lesotho nationals for a new parliament to be elected and a new government to be elected.
The Commissioner of Police and 2 army commanders, one fired by the Prime Minister and another appointed in his place, are to go on leave within a period of 14 to 21 days. The police commissioner has already gone on leave and appointed his deputy, but a brigadier earmarked to take over the army has refused his letter of appointment from the civilian authority. The 21-day deadline for the generals to go on leave is Thursday, 13th November.
Now, for more on the story, we joined on the line by our correspondent in Lesotho, Ntakwane Ngatane. Ngatane, good morning to you. We understand that the South African Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has arrived in Lesotho. Is that correct? Can you confirm that?
Indeed, Elvis. Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa arrived in Lesotho last night, and this morning he has paid a courtesy call on His Majesty King Lucia III. As we speak now, he is at the State House meeting with the Right Honourable Prime Minister Tom Thabane. Elvis?
What can we expect from the outcome of these meetings with King Lucia III?
Well, there are several issues at play at the moment, Elvis. 2 agreements signed, one by politicians, members of parliament, the other one by security heads. The one by politicians is well underway. Parliament was opened. It is running. The IEC says it is now preparing for elections with voter registration stations now open and preparations underway, a budget to be approved by Parliament. And on the security front, the 3 heads of the security agencies are supposed to go on leave. The Commissioner of Police has already gone and appointed his deputy, but still outstanding is the issue of the army, where the brigadier who was supposed to take over and act as commander while the 2 are on leave has refused to take a letter from the civilian authority saying that he will only take command from the commander of the army. And we expect that these are the issues that will then be discussed in the meetings that Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa will hold during the course of the day today. He will also meet the European Union that he met the last time that he was here. It was instrumental with the United Nations Development Authority, or the UNDP, in helping Lesotho with a free and fair election in 2012. Elvis?
Now, with that refusal of accepting, the general not accepting, where does it leave the security of Lesotho?
Well, at the moment, we still have a few more days because the deadline of the 14 to 21 days expires on the 13th of November. This is the period within which the 3 heads of the security agencies were supposed to have made arrangements to go on leave and leave their deputies in charge. So this is the date that we're really looking at to see what actually happens. And when it does arrive and nothing has happened, we can then probably worry. But until then, we have a few more days to see how it plays out. Okay.
And how different will the meeting with the Prime Minister, Tom Thabane, and the Deputy Prime Minister, Mochakgaomet Singh, be?
Well, at this point in time, we expect that it is basically ironing out all the issues that are being dealt with in terms of getting the country ready for elections. Now, you remember that Parliament was opened specifically to look at a budget and logistics for elections in February 2015 as opposed to 2017 as it was initially agreed. But when Parliament opened, the first thing that was discussed in there is members' dissatisfaction with the presence of SADC police and security in Parliament. The other issue that we saw come up inside the Parliament was amendments to the Constitution that will not allow the Prime Minister, for instance, to prorogue or suspend Parliament or advise the King unilaterally to dissolve Parliament. These were at a later stage moved aside. But we see Parliament discussing other issues in addition to all of the issues that it was supposed to discuss. So we expect that perhaps on each visit, Deputy President Ramaphosa irons out some of these issues to make sure that the accord and the declaration are adhered to by all the parties in Lesotho.
Now, the country is preparing for elections. 220 million rand needed to do that. Tell us more about it.
Indeed, 1,300 registration centers open currently, more than 3,000 temporary staff appointed to go door to door, some based in registration centers, to verify the voters' roll, to ensure that people who need new voters' cards get them, to ensure that those who have lost them perhaps get new ones, and so on and so forth. But also, in terms of the budget for elections, logistics, hiring of vehicles, this is where the budget will go. In terms of the ballot paper that will come up, you realize that this is a very short time. The Independent Electoral Commission has said it is confident, because this is its everyday business, it is confident that it will pull it off, but it needs the budget to be approved by Parliament as quickly as possible so that they can have all the resources that they require to ensure that the election is indeed free and fair.
Now, from your report, it seems to suggest that Lesotho is fairly stabilized at this point in time. Will this then be the last time that Cyril Ramaphosa will be in Lesotho?
We don't know at this point in time. When he last spoke, when the Maseru Facilitation Declaration was signed, he said SADC will be in Lesotho until after the elections in February 2015. So we expect to see more of him here in Lesotho, and we expect to see more of these visits. Of course, there is a SADC house that has been opened. There are permanent members of staff in that office who are here all the time, even when the Deputy President is not in Lesotho, who man the office and make sure that all of the activities that are supposed to happen in preparation for the elections and also in implementing the two accords that have been signed are happening. So we expect that we will be seeing a lot of him coming into Lesotho. We had him say that in Parliament yesterday when he spoke that he is indeed closely monitoring the developments here in Lesotho.
Ntakwana, thank you so much for that report. That's our reporter in Lesotho, Ntakwana Ngatani, giving us the latest there in Lesotho. That's